Hello everyone, we're just jumping into another Tavern Talks. This time it's all about wizards. I am being joined by some wonderful people today. You've probably seen both of them before, but in case you haven't, Typo and Nia, who are you? What do you do? And where can people find you?
Near?
Sure. Hey everyone, I'm Nir. You've obviously seen me on this channel probably a lot, because I'm basically on this channel as
I've
pretty
lived
much
here
guest
now.
star all the time. I basically live on this channel. I am guest star of this channel at all times. Where you can find me, obviously this channel, because I live on Polisher's channel now. I just live under, somewhere under the channel, just hiding at all times like a ferret.
And what do you do?
Well, I mean, I play D&D, I do Tavern Talks, I do all sorts of cosplay and other sorts of different things on my own time, sewing, gaming, D&D, obviously. And you can find me either on Polish's channel, or you can find me on Twitter and Twitch at the Furret King.
Alright, and Typo, what about yourself?
Hello, I'm Typo. You may know me from such games as that one Christmas special, and none others. As for what I do, I spend a copious amount of time converting oxygen into CO2 for our wonderful plants of this world. So...
Jeez. You also occasionally appear
building
on
up
Tavern
the
Talks.
illustrious tapestry that is my backstory.
Okay. Where can people find you? Where do you hang out? Not literally, but...
Well, if you'd like to find me in person, no, you can find me here on this channel mostly.
Alright. Both of these wonderful people do hang out in the Discord, so if you want to talk to them, the Coffee Nebula is a great option. I'm Polished. If you found the stream, you found my channel. We do heaps of role-playing content, including these weekly Tavern Talks, where we talk about all things D&D and tabletop related. Also do variety streaming. This weekend I will be at ArcanaCon in Melbourne. So if you want to say hi, let me know. And yeah, hopefully I have a chance to see you. We're also currently today raising money for WWF Australia because we're on fire and it's kind of a bad thing. So yeah, you can find the link for donations below, or even here, if I can type charity correctly. Yeah, there's some cool incentives. The only thing I can't do today is the crazy lipstick thing because I have to be somewhere afterwards and it takes a while to remove. But yeah, otherwise most of the incentives are still live. So
I'm doing the crazy lipstick thing for you, so...
Yeah, okay. Damn it, we should have planned to bring Typo in on that incentive as well.
You'll never get me. You can't pay me enough.
Fine. Fine. But yeah, so today's topic is all about wizards. One of their core sort of classic D&D and fantasy archetypes. It's a class that's been there, I think, from the very first edition and never quite wavered. So what are your experiences both with D&D in general, but especially with wizards?
I'll let you go.
I've got a little bit of experience with wizards, as one of my earlier characters was a wizard, and I've mixed it in with a couple of my other classes. I love playing a utility caster, and they are amazing for controlling the battlefield as well, so if that's your thing, wizards are top tier. They're not always the best blasters compared to sorcerers and warlocks, but you know, they can definitely lay down a couple fireballs when necessary.
Awesome. And Nia, I know you really enjoy playing wizards.
So, personally, my favorite is obviously the sorcerer. But my very first class I ever played was actually the wizard. And on top of that, I've played them. Played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think like 6 or 7 different wizards at this point. From 3.5, Pathfinder, and 5e as well. So I've played a couple different wizards in different systems. And they're all, like Typo said, always that like kind of control wizard type of character. Like they can control the battlefield, they can really control what goes on, and they have such a utility to them that really allows them to be whatever you really want them to be, whether it be, a control wizard, a blaster, or if you want somebody who is a frontliner a little bit. I played a blade singer at one point, so it was a kind of fun mix to play where you get to be a little bit more in the front, but also being able to still be a backliner in case you needed to be. I'd say they're just a lot of fun to be like kind of a whatever you want to make them.
Cool. I've probably got the least experience with wizards out of the 3 of us. I have one that I've just started playing who is a 4th level wizard, 1 level in rogue, and then I've got another character with that exact like rogue wizard mix that's in the making at the moment for a future campaign. So I'm very much approaching this as someone who's played other casters and then dabbling in wizard at the moment. So first of all,
what is a wizard?
Yeah, what are they? Especially compared to the other casters, what sets them apart?
So I'd say the thing that sets a wizard apart from, like a sorcerer or a warlock or some of the other casters, like a cleric in them, the wizard is the studious person, I guess you could put them as. They're the ones who don't really have magic at their own, like, they got it from, like, being inherited from, like, a sorcerer, or got it because of being told them, here's your power that you get. They're the ones who took the time to study all the, like, boring stuff behind the magic to learn how to actually control it and use it to their ability. They're also like that person who can, like, just bend arcane to their will.
Anything you want to add to the description, Typer?
No. If you want to play the nerd, wizard is the go-to character. In fact, for most of the game until Artificer finally came out, it was the only class that was good at that.
Yeah, they're the only nerd. Now they have a buddy.
So, why should someone play a wizard beyond if you want to be a nerd, play a wizard? What other reasons are there?
They have probably one of the most flexible spell lists in terms of wizards can have a larger spell list than any other class in the game.
Yeah.
It covers pretty much everything except for healing, which is the one thing they're not that great at. They have one move that can heal now. You have to slightly kill yourself, and you have a D6 of hit points to use for it, but I mean, technically you have one now.
Yeah, they have a healing, and they do have catnap. I mean, they can use that.
Their weakness can come in the form of they have to prepare certain spells, but that's also a strength, as they can learn so many spells from this list, and they can only take so many each day, but they can switch them out every day.
And I think the other good thing for them, compared to some other casters, is that they get the ability Arcane Recovery, which allows them to recover some of their spells that they've used during the day with a short rest, compared to some of the others that just don't get any ability and have to just wait until the end of the day to recover everything.
Bard. Sorry.
Yeah. On top of that, they also get ritual casting. Not many people get ritual casting, and being able to just have every ritual basically in their spell list and get the ability to just ritually cast them without having to use spell slots makes them one of the most universally, like, useful, because a bard gets rituals, but only so many. So
Yeah.
does like a druid or a cleric. But some of them don't even get ritual casting, and at that, they do get it through a feat. They have like 10 spells in their spell list, while the wizard has like hundreds and could use all of those.
It's not literally
So-
hundreds, it just feels like it.
I mean, it feels like it.
But,
It's not
but-
literally hundreds, but it's like they're like the better ones who go for that archetype of, I know that I can do this, and it's more of the niche that they're better at.
Yeah.
So it would be like a place that they're better at than another caster who can still do it. Just it's a wizard's like area they're better at.
By level 5,
and also-
you
Familiars, they get familiars.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Big one.
those are awesome. By
And
level
having your
5,
cute fuzzy animal.
you'll almost never have to say, "I'm sorry, I can't do that." At worst, you might have to say, "I can do that tomorrow."
Yeah. At most, you're basically gonna be like, give me like a day, and I'll be able to help you with there.
Yeah. I think for me, what led me to finally play or start playing a wizard is just the jealousy of looking at their spell list and go, wow, I wish my character could do that. That spell sounds really
Yeah.
useful. I've been
Yeah.
playing a lot of like sorcerers and druids, so there's a lot of things in that spell list where I'm like, I just want to use that.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think another fun thing about like flavor-wise of like playing a wizard is just a lot of fun, but they're the knowledge seekers. They're the people who know things. So being able to be like, I know the history of this town. I know the arcane lore about this place, or I know like how this item works.
Mm.
They're the person who could research it and know what it is, while some of the other casters probably don't, because a sorcerer usually gets their powers and just goes, "Who am I? What? I don't know.
Is this
I'm
what I
making this
do
up as I
now?
This is my
Yeah.
life now. Okay." So
And-
a wizard's kind of nice to have that, like, they are truly, like, knowledge. They're the nerd.
Mm.
It's okay to admit that they're the nerd.
It bouncing off of that, like, intelligence is sometimes considered one of the worst stats in D&D by
Mhm.
some people, because you'll sometimes have situations where like the DM will go, okay, everybody give me a history check, and you with your +10 history check fail, while the barbarian rolls a nat 20 and goes, I know this.
Mm.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can tell you from experience, if you're in a campaign that allows for more like interaction and not just like a very straightforward dungeon crawl
Mm.
or like a just hack and slash adventure, having a very good intellect score can be amazing.
Yeah.
You can you go into a new town and you can sometimes just go, okay, I would like to roll knowledge check to know this law about this town, this piece of culture about the town, this custom,
And
this
even-
religious practice, this thing about this species, what its powers can do. It gets bananas at a certain
Yeah.
point.
And even then, depending on your DM, like, I have had DMs who've been like, you are literally too smart to fail. You're gonna know things because you literally just know them. Like, it's just the thing that, like, you have a plus, say 12 to history. Your character's not gonna
You
not
have
know
read
something.
it. You have read it.
Like, they're not gonna. If at the most, like, my DM might make me roll and be like, you know so much about it. You might not know everything, but you still know something because your character is at least knowledgeable. Compared to like somebody who might maybe know one thing, but you are the studious one, so you're gonna know something.
Mhm.
I think it just also depends on GM how they roll it.
Some GMs will do the you rolled a 1 but have a +12 to your intellect roll. You don't know what bears are.
Oh, I hate it when people
You don't
do
in
that.
fact,
It's
you
like
don't believe bears are real.
that's a nitpick of mine. Like sometimes a bad roll means you don't know anything beyond average common knowledge. That's how I see a nat 1 about a common thing. But yeah, that's just me.
And even then, I don't find nat ones as like a crit fail. I find them as, if you still have a +10, yeah, you still probably know something.
So hello, Game Masters. Vault, which of your 3 core aspects of your username do you prefer to be addressed by? Also, thanks for tuning in. So we've talked a bit about like how wizards are the go-to class for I want the entire spell list.
Oh yeah.
What is it that is so unique about wizards and spells?
So I'd say unique about spells.
Or wizards and their relationship with magic is probably a better way of wording it.
I kind of think we covered that a little bit with the fact that they prepare their spells and they have so many. And
I would say like their schools of magic would be the next
Yeah,
best
that's
one because
sort of where I was hoping to go.
yeah.
Okay.
So
and how they learn it and
yeah.
that part.
So
Okay.
I need to work about my transitions.
Yeah, you're good. So it's like, what are the schools of magic, for instance? Like, there are 8 schools of magic, and wizards get like a kind of breakdown of like the ones they get to learn. Maybe like one they particularly are learned towards, but they're always going to be the 8 ones they know. So, a brief like synopsis of them: abjuration, spells that protect, block, or banish. Conjuration, spells that bring creatures or materials to the caster. Divination, spells that reveal information. Enchantment, spells that imbue some property or grant the caster power over another being. Evocation, spells that manipulate energy or create something from nothing. Illusion, spells that alter perception or create false images. Necromancy, spells that manipulate, create, or destroy life or life force, and it's kind of the balance of life and death. And then transmutation, spells that transform the recipient physically or change its properties.
Yeah, and I think
And then from there, like...
No, Vault just mentioned something where my group's wizard got knocked out last night. 1 hit. That happened to my wizard too. The first time I played her, it's just like, nope, you're down.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, I remember in
even with shield being cast, it was enough to take me out. Because 2 attacks.
I remember my very first game as a wizard. Our sorcerer and me literally had, I think, at the time, D4 HP. So,
Yeah.
I had literally, I think, like 6 HP at the time, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna die if I get hit at all. Let me just stand as far back as possible and hide behind our tower shield buddy over here.
Yeah.
I tried hiding, but I found like a weird paladin who stabbed me twice with a spear, and that was it.
The biggest danger with the wizard is that your hit points are so low, and you have this wonderful spell called Shield, which can boost your AC by a massive amount.
I think it's plus
which
5?
protects you from
Yeah,
+5. And on top of mage armor and having a decent dex, you can actually have really powerful AC, higher than the fighter. The problem with this is,
if they hit.
when you do get hit, there's a good chance that it's going to be a crit.
Yeah.
And it's going to immediately kill you. You're just going to go down like a rock.
So, I think that brings up
Unless
one
you're
of the
lucky to have a cleric who can just immediately cancel crits.
Oh, yes. I think that brings up like one of the downsides of playing a wizard. If you are someone who's used to taking damage, it's going to take a while to learn how to work with the I am super fragile type of character. Unless you're multiclassing or have like, I don't know, an insane constitution, which is a really hilarious build, but can actually be good. But wizards also get, in addition to the schools of magic, they get ritual casting. And Nia, would you mind telling us a bit more about that? Because I know you love this particular feature.
Oh, so ritual casting, for instance, is probably one of my favorite things with them, being that, like, there's just... spell slots are so, like, finite. Like, you just don't get enough spell slots during the day, and you really don't want to use precious resources on random little things that you don't really think you're going to use them on. So, identifying magic, detecting magic, or just using a familiar, or anything of the sort, just not going to waste my time going, well, this 3rd level spell slot, I don't really want to waste on a ritual that I could just ritual cast. So I find that ritual casting is probably one of the more fun things that they can do.
So
that it's
how do you actually use it? Because, like, Find Familiar is a ritual anyhow, so how do you use ritual casting to do a ritual?
So, ritual casting is essentially any spell in your spellbook that you have, you don't need to have it prepared. As long as it's a spell in your spellbook, you can basically not use a spell slot and just prepare the spell and cast it. It just takes a little more time.
It has to be a ritual.
It would take.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does have to be a ritual spell, and they actually do tag like which ones are rituals in the spells list. A good one to
Find
like
Familiar,
stick off the
identify.
bat. Yeah. Detect magic, things like those, and they'll usually give you like the little R on any of the spells that tell you that there are rituals. And from there, it usually tells you like what time like limit they cost. So like, for instance, Find Familiar takes an hour to cast. So it just adds 10 minutes to cast it ritually because you have to add an extra 10 minutes to ritually cast anything.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's much better because it's like if you have the like, say if you're not in any combat, you're not doing anything, you're just looking around, it is the most useful because take 10 minutes, cast Detect Magic, and now you have Detect Magic up and you can look for items freely to see if they have magical properties without being like, oh, I wasted a spell slot. Because the sorcerer, I believe, doesn't have ritual casting, right?
Not automatically.
So they have to waste the spell slot if they want to detect magic. Which
there is a feat for.
Yeah, there's the ritual caster one.
Yeah. So other classes can gain access to this, but they have to waste a feat on it.
Yeah. Which personally, I don't. I find it's not something unless you just really don't have anyone else in your group that is able to ritually cast, go for it. I just find it's not really that necessary if you don't.
Yeah.
Because it's just going to be a waste in the end.
It's also worth noting that the ritual casting helps the wizard get around one of their weaknesses, which is the whole you have a limited number of spells that you can prepare a day. Because you gain spells at almost twice the level that you can prepare them.
Yeah.
So half of your spell list you are not going to be able to use on any given day. But if any ritual spells, it doesn't matter if they're prepared or not, you can use them anyways as rituals.
So you don't even have to prepare them.
So you'll often go, okay, these are my active spells, and here's a bunch of ritual spells, and here are a couple spells that like to switch in every now and then when I feel I need them. Maybe I feel like, oh, I need this protective spell. Like, if you're walking around cliffs, maybe bring Featherfall.
Like, I'll find that...
Definitely bring Featherfall. Falling is the #1 cause of death in D&D.
Yeah, please bring Featherfall. Like, I remember that was, like, one of my major spells I brought every single day when I was a first time ever playing a wizard. And people kept being like, why do you keep bringing this? I'm like, because when we fall, I'm going to be able to save us. And then when we actually did fall, I was able to save us. And I was like, ha, I told you guys
this is why.
One day.
It's my time to shine.
We're not dying today. I told you. So... I would say though, like I have seen new wizards immediately bring like Find Familiar, Detect Magic, Identify every day with them. I'm like, ritual cast. Remember, you don't have to bring it with you.
So, what I would advise, again, as someone who's just starting to play a wizard, have a separate sort of list or paper where you list the spells you have access to that are rituals. Just so you know what you always have there, instead of, having to combine, like have that on the same page as your regular, like, spell list. Because sometimes it can be, like, I find it confusing to have too many aspects of a spell written down on one sheet. But that's just me, and again, like, you're probably going to have to look things up, but I find it neat to have a separate list where you just go, these are the spells that I can ritual cast. So they also have access to something called Arcane Recovery. And that effectively allows you to recover, I think it's a 1st or 2nd level spell slot per short rest. And you can do that, is it once per day, right?
Arcane Recovery?
Yep.
So Arcane
or
Recovery...
is it during every short rest?
It's once per day when you finish short rest, and it allows you to recover up to half your level in spell slots, and you can only cover up to 6th level spell slots.
Oh, okay. I thought it
It
was
has to be
limited
half your
second.
wizard level, not your class level.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not your player level.
Um.
I mean, yeah, half your wizard level, yeah. I always think of it as like half your class level, just because I don't ever multi-class out of wizard usually.
Well, it is.
If I'm a wizard, I'm a wizard.
Not half your character level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's two more things that we've sort of touched upon the schools of magic, but what about arcane tradition?
Yeah. So that's actually another funny one with the arcane traditions, is that there are, technically as of right now, there's 10 arcane traditions. 8 of them are also the same as the schools of magic because they are the schools of magic.
Yeah.
Because wizards who delve into a specific school of magic learn more directly related to that magic. So again, it's a little bit same for like the arcane tradition depending on like the school of magic you go into. So abjuration, protect; conjuration, conjure; divination, reveal things. So I don't know if we really need to go into too much on those ones maybe
I think
as much.
what we're going to do is talk about the 2 extra ones here and what an arcane tradition is and what it does.
Yeah.
And then once we've gone over like some of the unique features of a wizard, let's talk about the separate sort of schools of magic and the iconic spells from them.
Yeah.
So we have 8 options that align with the schools of magic. What are the extras?
Yep. So the other 2 extras are blade singing and war magic.
Yep, and they do what?
So blade singing, which does have the restriction depending on DM, of course, but restriction is elves only. So elves and half-elves are the only ones who can technically be blade singer, but I have had DMs who are perfectly fine with anyone being a blade singer, personally. They are anyone who's basically trained in war and song, as well as sorcery and magic. So blade singing is the like practice of elf wizards who mastered the art of sword fighting and grounded it in the tradition of arcane magic. Blade song is one of the abilities they get, which allows them to basically increase their AC, their walking speed. They get advantage on dex acrobatics checks. They gain a bonus to constitution saving throws to concentrate on spells. And they can, I believe,
move faster.
Yeah.
10-foot
and then
movements.
on top, they can also use actual like weapons, obviously, because they get the ability to actually use light armor and a melee weapon of their choice.
Yeah.
They also get proficiency in the performance skill. And then the second one is war magic, which is the latest one that they just came out with. I'm not as familiar with it as myself because they did change it from another one. But war magic is essentially mages who are battle mages. They use basically magic to deflect harm off of them, and can also go and fight with their wit inside combat. So arcane deflection is one of the abilities they get. They learn to weave magic to fortify themselves, and when they are hit by an attack or fail a saving throw, they can use the reaction to bump up their AC or bump up their saving throw. And then tactical wit is the ability to put their intelligence modifier into their initiative.
So when does a wizard gain access to an arcane tradition?
2nd level.
Cool.
So it's actually one of the better ones because like some of the classes only get them at 3rd, and being that they get a lot of their abilities at 2nd level and they get a lot of things right away at 2nd level is honestly really good for them.
Cool. The next thing we're going to talk about is spell mastery. You're the one who wrote that on the list, so what do you want to say about it?
I feel like I'm doing a lot of the talking. Type if you want to talk really quick, I actually have to go BRB for like 5 minutes.
Okay, can we...
Spell mastery.
If you want to take a quick 5-minute break, or...
Because what we, like, we can either go for a quick 5-minute break, but otherwise, if you just want to mute and turn off the camera, and we can go on to talk about the schools of magic, and then we'll return to spell mastery, because I'm not sure where you wanted to go with that.
I mean, I'm fine with either. I just have to be, like, really back really quick.
Okay, cool.
I think
Yeah,
5
I'll be right back.
could work.
Okay.
I see Bell Dandy posted something.
Oh, okay. So, everyone, we're apparently going to jump to starting soon for a very quick break, and then we are going to be right back. So yeah, I'll see you in just a few moments. Okay, everyone, we are just about to come back in. Nia's going to be joining us shortly, but for now, you'll have to settle for Typo and myself. And there's both of our faces, and now you can hear Typo too. So we're going to talk a bit about the different spell schools and some iconic or classic spells from each of them, so you get a better idea of what they are, and just like some good options from each separate school of magic. So,
Okay.
first one, Abjuration. This is the one that one of my wizards has gone down because it sort of suits her role quite well. It's a relatively small school of magic. There's not that many spells in it compared to some of the others. I'll also share with chat my favorite tool for looking up spells. It is a very, very easy an easy tool to use, and it shows a lot of different options. It's easy to search through, and I prefer that over any of the other online databases, and this one shows you everything for free, so it's very convenient to have on hand. But yeah, Abjuration is a lot about sort of protecting yourself and, you know, blocking things. It's not necessarily something that you want to do if you want to go for a damage build, is to go down Abjuration. Yeah, Typer, do you have any favorite Abjuration spells? There's a few classics in there.
The classics, of course, are Mage Armor, which you should often take if you don't have armor proficiency.
Yeah.
Gives you a nice 13 plus your dex mod. Shield and Absorb Elements are also are even more critical to take. They're reaction spells, and Shield will protect you from getting stabbed a whole bunch.
Yeah.
And Absorb Element will protect you when another enemy inevitably throws a fireball on you or a dragon breathes acid at you.
Yeah.
It just halves the damage right away. It's the only reason that the wizard manages to survive when they get hit by AoE.
Yeah, it's pretty useful. Another classic is a 3rd level spell by the name of Counterspell, which can be an absolute lifesaver, especially if you're fighting, some sort of higher level caster in a boss fight. Preventing something like a fireball or a cone of cold from happening, or even being able to, once you use a higher spell slot, to stop something like Wish, which I think is... You can stop it when it's the same level, right? It has to be same level or above.
It has to be the same level. If it's above the level, then you can cast your level check to try to stop it.
Oh yeah, if it's casting a 4th level spell or higher, make an ability check using your spell casting ability. The DC equals 10 plus the spell's level. So it would still be a pretty high, trying to counter a 9th level spell is pretty difficult.
Though that
However,
is where the...
Yeah, no, sorry, go on.
Well, that is where the Abjuration Wizard actually excels. Because they get to add, at I believe level 6, their proficiency bonus to those checks, so they have a higher chance of dispelling magic if they don't cast counterspell at high level.
Yeah.
Dispel magic also works similarly, except it's against spells that are already in effect.
Yeah.
Opposed to something that's just being cast.
Exactly. So a counterspell is often a very classic, nope, not going to let you do that. You can, however, use a counterspell to counter the counterspell. Which is one of those, headache-inducing moments of just a chain of reactions, really. Some other classics here would be Remove Curse is one of those, when you need it, you really need it. I'd also say that alarm can be a really good spell early on, depending on the nature of the adventure you're going on. Like, for example, if you know there... Sorry?
Oh, no, you go. You continue.
So, for example, if you know that someone is trying to, like, follow your party, or you suspect they've been rummaging through your things, casting alarm around, like, a protected item or something that is really high stakes is a good early level abjuration spell. Sorry, what were you saying, Topo?
Oh, I was going to say, the Abjuration School, again, has another, like, weird mix with this. Some GMs will consider it a little bit cheaty, though it's not that strong. It's pretty average in strength. You can use...
Just so you know, Nia, we are live.
You get a spell ward.
Hi. Hello, everyone. I'm back.
Hello, Nier. As an Abjuration Wizard, you get this special ward of extra hit points, essentially, that protects you.
Yeah.
And this ward you can heal this ward by casting Abjuration spells. Shield, Mage Armor, etc. And Alarm is a ritual Abjuration spell, which means you can cast it without spending spell slots. So you can take some time down to just slowly regenerate your shield between long combats.
Nice.
So, don't do it after every combat.
Yes. So the next school is significantly bigger if we look purely at the spell list, and that's Conjuration.
And that's actually one I have played.
Nice. There's again a lot of classics, and as someone who's playing a sorcerer as my primary go-to class, I'm like, yes, this spell list is looking pretty familiar.
Yeah.
So what would you guys say are some classic conjuration spells?
Definitely Minor Illusion's actually probably one of my favorite ones to use, because it's just literally using it in the same way you would use Minor Conjuration. Like, they actually get an ability in the same way, but Minor Illusion to Minor Conjuration for the Conjuration School is actually one of the best ways to use them. But Minor Conjuration allows you just to basically do small inanimate objects, basically be anything.
One of my favorite spells is on this list. And that's Thunderstep. Thunderstep has saved my hide so many times that it's... I owe a lot to Thunderspell, and I think it's a good one to consider having. Because it's also... you only need a verbal component, so you can use it even if you are grappled to get the hell out. Which makes it pretty powerful. You can also teleport an ally with you and deal damage to things that were really close to you, which is very convenient at times.
I think one of my favorite ones, and like one that people just don't probably use as often, and it's probably just because of how they changed it in 5e compared to older editions, probably, but I liked Tensor's Floating Disc.
Yeah.
It's kind of underrated, but I liked the original uses for it because it's like just a floating disc. Older editions, you used to be able to command it to move.
Yeah.
And I ended up actually getting a DM to let me do that because I think that honestly just makes the spell more fun. Because it's just like, hey, let me just float above water while everyone else is drowning and just sit here on top of my little disc. I've done that before because I was like, guys, just... I can't help you, but I can help me because I can't swim. I'm gonna drown if I get in that water.
That is so cool.
But it's like one of the coolest spells because you could just like put a bunch of things on it. Hey, I can't carry the like paladin who's in full plate, but I can put him on this disc and let it carry him.
Yeah.
It's like that's such a good way of using the spell of like, I can't do things, but it can for me. It lets me basically pick things up I can't.
I've seen it used as almost like a mobility aid, in a scenario where a character was exhausted and had their movement reduced. Because they were a dwarf, their movement was already limited to begin with. So to be able to move the entire party, that's one of the uses we found for this particular spell.
There's a set of spells that are actually pretty archetypical of the Conjurer, which are the summoning spells.
Yes.
Yep.
They've slowly grown in number.
Demon?
The original ones were the Conjure Minor Elementals and Conjure Elemental spells, but they've recently added some
questionable
spells to
choices.
Summon demons and devils.
Summon
which
demon
are a
now?
lot of fun to use because they have some interesting side effects if you lose control of them, or the way the devils want to try to screw you over if you.
I mean, like, they're maybe not as useful because obviously the idea of being a wizard and being like, oh, I lost control and it's gonna kill me now, great, and I have like 5 HP. But also at the same time, I mean, you summon a demon, so what were you expecting?
Maybe don't do what my friend did and make the demon do jumping jacks until it eventually breaks free and comes after you.
Whoops.
Another actually really fun one is probably Mordenkainen's Faithful Hound, just because that one's always been a fun one to have. Is having like this phantom watchdog just basically conjured up and sick on somebody. I always loved that spell. It's just a nice one.
And if you want to play a summoner, one of the tricky things that you're going to find in 5e is most of the summoning spells don't come into play until around 5th level. However, there are a few spells that will let you get that feel. Find Familiar. Unseen Servant will be at 1st level. And there's a secret spell that not many people know about called Flock of Familiars at 2nd level. It's in a book. You can find it on, what is it, Donjon? But it allows you to basically summon multiple familiars. So those are the early summoning spells that you can use.
I'd say there's also a very classic cantrip, namely Mage Hand, that is also a conjuration, conjuration based.
And even then, if you're a conjuration wizard, you do get the minor conjuration ability, so you can do other sorts of conjuration things with it.
I almost forgot. If you want to play a summoner, there's also Infestation.
Infestation is actually pretty
onto
good.
your enemy.
So what about Divination? Any favorite spells in here? Detect Thoughts can be freaking awful and freaking good, depending on the scenario.
Mind Spike every day. I love that one. It's one of my favorites just because Divination is so like classified under not being able to ever attack or do anything provoking. So having an ability to literally attack somebody's mind physically with divining sense, it's kind of a nice spell to have because they are such a hands-off kind of wizard. They don't get to do really any control spells. They don't really get to do any like active spells. They're just like, I can see the future. Back here. An hour ago, where as in we're in the present time now and I can't help you. So it's kind of nice to have some spells like that. Though they also do have, like a couple other things, like See Invisibility is such a good one when you're up against other spellcasters.
Absolutely.
And
Detect
Thoughts.
Magic is classic, and it's an interesting spell because it's a ritual spell, and you'll be tempted to always throw it into your I'm not preparing the spell list. You might want to consider preparing it. The problem with Detect Magic being a ritual only is you will often have cases where it's just like, I really want to just turn on the magic eyes right this 1 second. Check if that guy has something on him. If there is a guy that you're suspecting has some type of magic affecting him, he is not going to sit around for you to go, okay, just 1 second. I need to burn the incense and I need to mix these salves and no.
That's true. Like, I would say, and it's always a thing of people going Detect Magic and Identify. Always, I would prefer at least Detect Magic. Identify, you're gonna have time to cast that one. You have to have a minute to cast it anyway. Ritual, I don't need to know it right then and there.
Another
Detect magic is like that one you need to know.
another spell that I really like is scrying, which can be
Mhm.
very useful for things like you have to send in one ally into a specific discussion or something like that, and the others can't come in. Scry
Yeah.
on them, and you'll get
Mhm.
all the information and can relay it to the party. Need to know what an enemy is up to, need to find out who left behind a certain important clue. Scrying can be really useful.
Yeah.
Yep.
Scrying is always like a fun one. And it really is like, that's the thing where I'll say is like the divination ones, like early on,
Mm,
some of their spells are a little
yeah.
on the like how useful they are, but as they get
Clairvoyance can be
more
really
powerful,
useful.
yeah, clairvoyance is like when they hit third level is where they start being more useful. And I would say clairvoyance, arcane eye, legend lore scrying, those things are like a lot of fun to use.
Mm.
And then it hits level 9 when you get foresight, and that's where I'm like, okay, yeah, 8 hours of being like able to like advantage everything. Yeah, cool, done.
Mhm.
What about enchantment? Some classics in here.
Don't use charm person. You'll hate it because they've nerfed it and it's awful, and just don't use it.
Mm.
What?
Just if you value not being detected by anyone ever, just don't use charm spells because they just decided everyone gets to know, even a peasant.
It should be noted actually. The charm school, the enchantment school, gives you the ability to cast charm magic without them
True.
knowing.
Yeah.
True.
So if you want to be that kind of
Only one.
mind control-y wizard, the enchantment school is probably what you're going to want to go
Yeah.
for.
Mm. I'd say some pretty cool ones. I like synaptic static, because not only does it do damage, it actually then, it's almost like Bane, like that's a side effect, where the target has 1 minute, where they have to roll a d6 to then subtract that from any attack roll and ability check. And con saving throws for concentration. So if you have an enemy who is relying on concentration spells, this can be an incredibly viable tool to use.
Yeah.
But again,
Especially,
it is an
like, I
intelligence saving throw, so maybe if you are using it against another wizard, it might still be problematic, because they are
Yeah.
decent at intelligence saving throws, to say
Yeah.
the least. But if
I
you have
definitely
like
see
a
that.
bard
Enchantment
or a
has-
sorcerer, it could be really powerful.
Enchantment's one that also like, even though some of the charm spells I'm a little upset about because of just little personal reasons, but I definitely like a lot of the enchantment spells way more so than some of the other spells. Like, they have a lot more flavor to them.
Yeah.
Like, even if people don't like some of the spells, like, personally, one of my favorite spells, Crown of Madness. It's really not that great overall, but the idea of having like this
It's got
jagged
cool
like
flavor.
crown
Yeah.
and like being able to like manipulate somebody to harming their allies and just being able to twist and turn people into like doing what you want. It's always such a fun way of just like playing a character. Tasha's hideous laughter, making somebody just literally die of laughter on the floor and not be able to stop. It's why the enchantment school is just such a fun school to play, because they're the one that gets to do all the weird fun spells.
Suggestion is a really good example of that spell.
Yep.
Extremely powerful, both in and out of combat, if I remember correctly. Because you can just, what is it? You can just tell an enemy to surrender, I think.
As long as it is not a course of action that they would basically hurt themselves or anything of the like. Like, basically, as long as it's, I don't kill myself, they will do it.
Yeah.
Go home and rethink your life now.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the thing is, once the spell ends, they go back to doing whatever they want, but they do have to take a course of action to finish whatever you did. Or at least until the duration's up, which is at least 8 hours.
Mm-hmm. And unlike a lot of the other spells, it doesn't automatically notify them that you have cast suggestion on them.
Yeah.
So that's a really fun one for that.
One of the best spells for especially since it's second level, and being able to just tell somebody to do what you want.
Yeah.
If they fail that saving throw, you can literally tell them basically to do anything.
The only
I want you to roll around and start doing, a performance for me.
The only thing stopping you is it has to be reasonable.
Yeah.
So if they're kicking your butt, you can't tell them to surrender and go home. But if they're losing, you can go, you know what, you're done fighting, you're going home, bye.
Yeah. Give the order to, recall your army.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it has to sound sort of reasonable in some way.
So the next one is, it's either the biggest or second biggest in terms of spell list. It's also where you'll find a lot of the damage spells to begin with, and that's evocation.
Yep.
This is where you find your fireballs, people. Right in here.
And lightning bolt.
This is where you'll find magic missile.
That too.
Just magic missile and fireball. That's all you need.
One of my favorite first level spells is an evocation spell, and that's Chromatic Orb. However, I like Chromatic Orb better for sorcerers than for wizards.
Yeah.
Because Twin Spell and Chromatic Orb work really well together. So it's still a good early level damage spell, because it does have that elemental flexibility. So if you need to prepare one, but you don't know which element you might be going up against, Chromatic Orb is a really solid pick early on, especially since you can cast it at a higher level. What else do we have that's really cool? Chain lightning?
Don't take Witch Bolt.
Don't take Witch Bolt.
It's a trap.
Okay,
Witch Bolt is terrible.
I will tell you, Witch Bolt is an awful spell. It is absolutely awful. But the flavor behind the spell is so much fun.
I know.
It's that's the trap in it. It's I get to cast a spell and basically connect this magic to somebody, and then every turn repeatedly cast it. That itself is super cool. It's the trap of, oh well, I cast it at level 2 and I get to do extra damage, and then it goes back to the level 1 damage.
Wait till level 5, get lightning bolt.
Yeah, you just trust me. Just wait till
it's
level
the
5.
real one. You're gonna like it.
Yeah. Now,
and it's also much less likely than Fireball to kill your allies.
Yeah. Now, other spells that are because I'm trying to stay away from just the stereotypical ones, but there are some fun spells out there.
Yeah.
Obviously I know Scorching Ray and Shatter is such a common spell.
I like Shatter.
But,
I really do.
Yeah, I love those spells. But one of my favorite ones actually to use every now and then, and 2 of them would be Snillock's Snowball Swarm. Because who doesn't like to have a snowball fight in the middle of combat every now and then? Or Agonazer's Scorcher, which is able to basically just emanate a wide flame to keep people away from you for a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
I have to also.
I think...
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think one of my personal favorite evocation spells, Melf's Minute Meteors. You cast the spell and a bunch of meteors start circling you, and as a bonus action on each of your turns, you can start throwing these meteors at people.
Yeah.
I like it.
Just a very fun feeling of okay, I've reached this point of I am just the wizard now. Die.
Yeah. I'm also one of the ones that I'm really fond of, and this might be my inner sorcerer talking, of a Cone of Cold can be very useful.
Yeah.
And it's also just a big fuck off in magical terms, which is one of the reasons why I really like it.
Yeah, honestly, there's some really good ones, Chain Lightning later on at level 6 is amazing, or Sunbeam. You never know when you're going to fight a vampire. Sunbeam, take it, please.
For utility, you also have Sending, which I didn't realize was an evocation spell until right now. I thought that would be more like divination or abjuration. So
You
Or
would
even a
think,
charm
but it's
spell.
because they're like creating. It's basically creating a connection. That's why
Yeah.
they consider it creating energy, thus creating something from nothing.
Alright. Next one is, again, a lot of utility things in here, and that's illusion.
Yep.
Um,
Which is again one of my favorite ones, but like one of those ones that is also underestimated. A lot of people underestimate illusions just because it's not real.
yeah.
So it's not
Well.
like a thing that is tangible for people.
Illusions are tricky because
It is really
the thing
tricky.
about illusion is your mileage will vary based on your
Yeah.
DM. If your
Yeah.
DM is nice and loves creativity and loves to reward it, you will find an amazing time with illusion.
Yeah.
If your
Yes.
DM is out to get you, he is going to try to find every way possible to ruin your illusions for you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it is not fun then. So
It's
make
really
sure
one of
that
those things.
if you take it, that you and your DM are on the same page with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I would actually say that for any spellcaster, honestly. Because there are a lot of spells out there that a DM will immediately make you hate them, even though that you read them correctly.
Let's
Because
not
they just
start
don't
the
like
great
you using them.
polymorph debate again, because I'm not
Okay.
into it.
I'm still angry about a lot of my own personal
Yeah.
debates where, like, oh, I created an illusion to make us into a rock because you can literally hide in a rock.
Mm,
hmm
And then the DM being like, oh, they can see you through it. And I'm like, how?
yeah.
Did they know that it was fake? It was just a rock with all the other rocks?
Did they roll a very high perception to notice that that rock wasn't there before?
Yeah.
Shit!
like-
They had a Raven Queen Warlock on their team.
Yeah, I was
It's
like,
fair, guys.
these bandits happen to just walk in this exact spot a million times and know that rock is not supposed to be there. How dare you?
Yeah.
Like, that sort of thing is just like, where DMs will try to screw you over. And you're like, I thought up something really well thought out. Come on.
Yeah.
So, illusion, really fun. Just work with your DM beforehand before ever
Mhm.
picking it, just because they might go, yeah, fuck you.
Yeah.
But,
Wargamers in particular are going to be a little bit
however,
less.
there are spells that you can use that they can't fuck you over with, that you can go, fuck you.
Mm.
Invisibility. Go
Mhm.
fuck them. Tell them, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go invisible now. You can't do anything to me. Or later on, get greater invisibility and turn your entire team invisible and just be like, go fuck yourself. We're all walking through here invisible. Or hallucinatory terrain or phantasmal killer and just keep using spells like that to go and force your DM to basically hate their life and hate their game.
Nier has a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, I think we
I hate-
stumbled on
Look.
something here.
Look, I'm just saying that if a DM tries to screw you over,
Mm,
screw them back over as hard as you can.
mm.
Or find a different game.
Or just, yeah, find a different game. But again, DM, just screw about shit. Illusion, though, has a lot of really fun spells. You would actually not know that some of these spells would probably be in there, like Dream, because
Yeah.
you wouldn't think Dream would be a spell that an illusion wizard would get,
Mm.
but it's actually one of the ones they get.
Yeah.
Mislead is actually one of the ones that's really, really cool. Being able to literally just, like, become invisible and then create a double of yourself and mislead everyone to think, hey, my ally is standing right next to me. Actually, I'm over there.
Yeah.
I left you guys.
So something to keep in mind with mislead though, that is a GM mileage will vary.
Yeah.
Rules is written, you have to take the hide action after
Yeah.
casting mislead, or
Hmm.
else the people still know you're standing there.
Yeah. It's like,
So,
it's a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you maybe take 2 levels of rogue, and so you
Mm.
can take hide as a bonus action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next one, necromancy. As someone who's played a sport druid, I'm like, oh, this is starting to look familiar now. Again, favorite spell here, I do really like blight, because when it hits at full damage, it can do a lot to a single target. It's also especially viable if you're fighting a plant-based creature or monster. Like, it's technically...
Yeah, all 2 times it's happened in your entire history of playing D&D.
It sort of depends on the campaign, though. Like, you have a lot of, like, Oh, what is the other druid one where you can cause? Is it Wrath of Nature or Awaken? Where a druid can animate a tree to like fight on their behalf, pretty much.
Yeah.
This is a great counter
There
for
are
that
some
kind of thing.
campaigns where it will see a lot of
Yeah,
use.
it's
Yeah.
again gonna depend on. But even then, like
Which I will say-
88 necrotic damage.
It'll
is
depend on
still
campaign,
pretty
but
solid.
then again, if you look at
Yeah.
I think it's the element. It's oh god, which one is it? It's the like elemental campaign essentially, but
Mm,
that one has nothing but basically druids in it of every
Yeah.
single element. That is literally what you're going to be fighting.
Yeah.
Necromancer is probably the best one to go there because most of them are going to cast things that are going to be weak to you.
and
And at the end of the day, most people are literally going to be weak to necrotic.
Yeah.
And I will actually point. Well, that's the tricky thing. A lot of creatures aren't weak, are
Well, not weak, but
normal.
not going to resist it.
necrotic.
Yeah.
However, undead are very common enemies, and
Yeah.
a lot of undead
Yeah.
are. So, be careful with that. I personally am not a huge fan of the necromancy school because
Mm,
it has a really bad habit of attack spells that do terrible damage
Yeah.
compared to evocation and conjuration. Like, if you look
Yeah.
at you mentioned the one that does 8d6 to one target at 4th level versus lightning bolt or firebolt that do 8d6 to multiple people at 3rd level.
yeah.
And that is
Yeah.
a common trend for all of necromancy.
Mm,
Well, I mean, Blight is 8d8.
yeah.
So
Still, I mean, then again, it's like
Yeah.
that is still not much more than what you're getting.
yeah,
But then again,
they're not the best
the-
attacking spells, but they can
The
put
good
some.
part, I would say, for the Necromancer in particular, is
Mhm.
the abilities that the Necromancer school gets,
Yeah.
where they
Mhm.
get extra life to heal them from using their spells,
Mhm.
and then on top of that, they can eventually, like a Necromancer, animate the dead and make thralls to help them.
Yes.
If your party's
That is
okay
a
with
really
that,
cool part of it.
remember that, not everyone's going to be cool with this, so remember that you're playing a Necromancer, and maybe some people might be like, you're awful, how dare you, smite! And then immediately kill you and cut you down. But if they're not
Also-
jackasses, sometimes you might get a cool party.
Yeah. If you get a cool party, don't take Soul Cage. Don't take Soul Cage.
Yeah, just
Super
don't take
evil
that.
spell.
Yeah. Now, I will
It's
say,
like
Oh,
the
like,
one
wow.
spell I think that's just objectively if you use the spell, you're a terrible person. It's
Yeah.
really good though.
it is a very good spell, but also it's like, I would say it's objectively more of one of those nasty spells in some ways.
Yeah.
Because it literally does snatch the soul of a humanoid and trap it in a cage, basically, as a material
lets you
component for
torture
your
it.
use. Yeah, and you can trap it and just torture it as long as you want.
You can also
And it's just
heal.
like, yeah,
Yeah, you heal it by sucking out some of its soul life force.
I,
Or you can question it by torturing it.
yeah, but that's also
So that's
like
like one of those
punching.
Very evil spell.
That's
However,
also-
obviously, you could still use it and be like, hey, I did it to the final boss of the campaign.
yeah.
Go fuck
Or like,
yourself, final boss.
not the final boss,
Torture for
but their
you.
closest minion.
Yeah, you can literally
It-
use it for
it's-
that purpose.
It's okay if you can get it against the. It's one of those last-ditch options.
Yes.
Of questioning
Yeah.
information sometimes
Exactly.
that a more morally gray party will be okay with.
Yeah.
Just keep in mind, it's the reason why the paladin looks at you and goes, "So you're a necromancer, huh?"
Yeah. Now, I have actually played in a campaign with a necromancer where I was playing a witch, and then we had a paladin, and we did have a cleric. So we did have a very weird party setup because we had two holy characters, my very neutral character,
Yeah.
and then we had this necromancer who was more neutral as well. So it was just two holy characters with the two neutral characters, and we got along perfectly fine because the necromancer at the end of the day built a story around why they were a necromancer,
Yeah.
and they're part of an
Mhm.
organization to
Yeah.
dedicate to protect death and life.
I'd say
So it was
another
Mhm.
another underestimated spell in necromancy is blindness, deafness.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Especially if you have something like a sound-based effect, or even as a counter to fear, or anyone who's frightened but has to move.
Mhm.
turn them blind.
Yeah.
Because they can't move towards the creature while they see it.
Yeah.
If they're
You
frightened
counter
of somebody,
that?
stab out their eyes. Oh, you meant to cast a spell. Okay, my bad.
That blindness deafness.
Or
The same thing. Any
Literally-
sound-based spell cannot touch you if you are deaf.
Mhm.
Um.
or in the same way, so you see a spellcaster on the enemy team, blind them.
Yeah.
They can't cast spells now because they can't see you.
Yeah.
Most spells require you
A
to
lot of their
see a
spells
point.
Mm.
Like, most spells require you to see a point that you can target, thus, if you can't see it, you're screwed.
Mm.
Same with, like, silence, if you can get that spell. Remember, silencing spellcasters. I need vocals to say things.
Unless you're a sorcerer.
Yeah, unless you're a sorcerer, which, luckily, I love playing sorcerer, so.
In which case, whenever you get imprisoned, you have to cut out your tongue. Whoops. And break your finger.
Oh my god.
So
What?
the
You've never
last.
captured a sorcerer in your games before. They are a pain in the butt to deal with.
Yeah, it's
Before we move
literally
on, though-
you need an anti-magic field to be
yeah.
entirely safe from them. It's like,
Before
oh,
we
you've
move on,
stolen
though,
my
last-
focus? Good thing I've got a few backups that don't require that.
Last spell I
Oh, what
would
do you
say-
mean I'm bound, gagged, and God knows what else? Well, good thing I don't need to do any of those pesky things like say things or make movement to cast a spell.
Yeah. Or use components, because I'm literally a component myself.
You're the reason mage shackles are a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally. That's
no.
how you debilitate the
Last-
sorcerer. Anti-magic field.
Last spell I would also talk about would be like Finger of Death is actually a really fun one.
Yeah. that's
Because
very cool.
78 plus 30 necrotic damage. And then if you kill them, they immediately rise as a zombie their next turn. To literally do what you want. So it's like, for the
Sorry.
necromancer, that's perfect.
Yeah.
The zombie at that level isn't useful, but it's a nice insult to injury.
Yeah, it's a nice insult to injury to send like an enemy against their like, ally.
Yeah.
Yeah. At that point, you can just go like, okay, do a backflip. Okay, fun.
Well, on
I
top of that-
remember you stabbed me.
It would still be good though, because the undead thrall like ability with the necromancer allows them
Yeah.
to add like their hit point maximum and like a bunch of other things to the undead.
Yeah.
But then next one
Dance-
is
Dance Macabre is actually
Yeah, I
Really
was
good.
looking at that
Yeah.
one before.
oh
That
actually
is such a good villain spell as well. Give that.
It's
perfect for the One of the problems with necromancers, like playing the skeleton raising necromancers, is create undead and I think animate dead. I believe they take time to cast, like 10 minutes or so. Dance Macabre, snap your fingers, they're up and about.
And I am so
Yep.
surprised that Spore Druids don't get that one. They have similar,
It's so
like
weird.
similar abilities built in, but how that is not on their list is a bit weird to me. Less relevant
Yeah.
to wizards, though. Like, because
Yeah.
they have it.
Wizards get everything. Wizards are fun.
So
They do have a school dedicated to
The last
necromancy.
one is transmutation.
yes, which I think is the biggest spell list. If evocation doesn't quite,
I think
Edge
it's
it
like a
out.
tie between either
it's very close.
transmutation or evocation, because those are like the two that always get the most spells.
Yeah,
Transmutation has a lot of buff spells,
Yeah,
yeah.
so if you
which
want
doesn't surprise me, because
amazing.
It's got a lot of
It's a
things.
lot less Full Metal Alchemist than you'd think.
Yeah.
it's also the one I say is hardest to go over because of how many spells it has.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's got the most classic one here is probably the polymorph range of spells.
Mhm.
That's the sort
Yeah.
of classic transmutation, like
Or
in a
fly.
nutshell.
Fly and haste are another good one that I could think of,
Yeah.
because those are like your core. Once they hit their level like spells, fly and haste are ones that people immediately gravitate towards because they're like, I can now cast fly on my party, or I can cast haste and get everyone in the fight better.
Yes. I'd also recommend for an early level spell, Dragon's Breath.
Yep.
Because that
yeah.
you can have that for up to a minute. It is a concentration spell, but it gives you a cone weapon, even if it's only 15 foot It's
Yep.
still pretty solid. This is a second level spell that you can cast as a bonus action, and then using that weapon is an action.
And
So it's a good way to
on
save
top of
spell
that-
slots as well.
you can have your familiar use it, so you don't have to get up
Yes.
close.
Uh,
Asteria did that all the time.
yeah.
Just let your
Break the
familiar do all the
action
work for
economy.
you.
And same
Yeah.
thing, you can cast it on someone who is going into that fight, but who might not have elemental damage if you know that a creature is vulnerable to this
Yep.
thing. Because even it's a dex save, but again, it's an AoE attack. It is a 3d6 damage of any particular element
Also, you
that you
forgot the
assign when
most
you cast
important.
it. What?
You forgot the most important level 1 spell, though.
Oh, well, I haven't
Feather-
forgotten, but
Featherfall. Everyone, don't forget Featherfall.
no,
You're gonna die if you don't.
we've already gone like that's important. But yes,
and
it is.
Another really popular spell is Animate Objects.
Mm.
It's a spell that some TMs have learned to look out for. It gives you a lot of it. It's really good for doing a lot of damage. Take a bunch of pennies, throw them at the enemy, animate objects. The pennies are beating your enemy to death.
Yeah.
I think it's like 8 tiny objects you can animate at once, and each one of them gets to melee attack, something like that.
Money.
Yeah.
So it can get pretty bananas. Yeah, what is
I'd
it?
say telekinesis
Oh, gosh,
is another
10.
really fun one later on.
You can't animate any object larger than huge. Just
Yeah.
as a heads up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's up to
However-
8 objects in total.
One of my favorite ones, actually, and it's a combo I did at one point with a character because
Oh no, it's
she
10.
was
It's 10.
It's 10?
kind of like a younger character in her teen
Oh,
years,
yeah.
but animate object, but also have enlarge.
Mm.
And she carried around a teddy bear that was a small, like teddy bear, basically tiny to small, and then enlarged it, and then was like, animate.
Problem.
Jeez.
Those are both concentration spells.
Mm.
So that's
True,
not
but
meant
also
to
I
work.
had another person use it.
Yeah,
I
if
had
you
another person
combo
use
it, then it works. But if
True.
you're the only magic
Exactly.
user, that strategy's not going to
True.
work.
Oh yeah, it doesn't
Mhm.
work if you're the only one. But I had a sorcerer help me with the spell so that we could do it together because they were
It was-
basically like my
Yes.
guardian.
Nice.
So it was like, yeah, this works.
It was a teddy bear of chain size. It was a common magic item, you know.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly.
They sell them at the wizard festivals.
Yeah.
Yeah. But basically, it was like a combo that I did at one point where it was like, yeah, we're gonna have basically a giant animated object just go and help us out. So I think
Um,
whenever we did get it, it was like a medium object basically at that point.
One of my personal favorite spells with transmutation is catapult. Actually,
Yeah. That's
Um,
pretty cool.
it does decent damage on its own, but my favorite part about it is that you can use it to basically take a object
Mm.
and add on an extra effect to that. Say you have an acid flask and catapult it. It hits them with catapult, and then the acid flask shatters.
Yeah.
And if acid flask shatters on you, it's like he would do
Hurts.
extra damage.
Yeah. It hurts,
So-
mate. That's what it does.
If you have, say, a bomb, whoops, catapult, bang, hit them in the face, the bomb explodes then.
Mm.
Yeah.
Another spell that is terrifying in what it actually does is disintegrate.
I was like,
That is hardcore. Like that's a spell where witnessing that being cast will fuck you up because it's
yeah.
that like it's not just killing something; it is erasing it pretty much from the universe. Like that's
Yeah.
the severity of it, and it's only a 6th level
Yes.
spell, which is not that high.
Yeah,
10d6 plus 40 force damage. That is
And then
brutal.
the description after it, where it says, if it hits 0 hit points, it's disintegrated instantly. So a disintegrated creature and everything it is wearing and carrying, except magic items, are reduced to a pile of fine gray dust.
Yeah,
So it's like, yeah, okay, great. You just literally reduce them to dust.
and they can
And
only
you can
be
only be
brought
revived by
back
true
Mm-hmm.
resurrection.
by
or a wish.
true resurrection.
9th
or
level
wish.
spell.
Yeah. So if you need to deal with, again, like a creature that keeps coming back, because you might not have an enemy with a 9th level spell on them, but they have resurrection. So they keep bringing back that pesky, like, minion or underling or whoever, because they've been able to resurrect them. Disintegrate them.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is terrifying.
It's even a good one to, like, if you're not using it on a person, say you're running from people and you cross a bridge.
Yeah.
Disintegrate the bridge. Get rid of it. They can't chase after you now because guess what? The bridge is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also a very common spell to see enemies use.
Yeah.
If you see an enemy use Disintegrate,
Run.
there's a strategy about, like, if your ally goes down, bring him back to life with a few hit points.
Yeah.
Maybe don't do that if there's a guy that knows Disintegration around, because he's going to look at you and go, "Oh, so you're just going to bring him back, huh?" Die and stay dead.
Yeah. Now, if they do that, remember that you're most likely the person with counterspell, so then just look at them and go,
No, you didn't.
counterspell.
Yeah.
True. And then they counterspell you, and then it's
Come on.
And then it's
And
a
you all
cycle,
have
and
that.
then if you're also the wizard, then look at them and also be like, heh, counterspell.
Yeah.
Just make sure that you have 2 people with counterspell at all times, so just in case
Yes.
there is one spellcaster in the enemy team, they can't do it back to you.
Yeah. I like that. I need to.
It's literally, it is my, like, one go-to wherever if I'm in a group, we have 2 spellcasters, I'm like, make sure they're both, like, people who have counterspell.
Always use the buddy
Because if
system.
they can,
Yeah.
you can be like, oh, somebody's counterspelling me. No. Counterspell.
Yeah. Such a
Because
counterspell
like, I don't
is
want that
so
spell.
fucking useful.
Yeah, it's a really good one. We didn't
Yeah.
talk about that, did we? I don't remember. I
Yeah, we
wasn't there
did.
for that, I don't know.
There's no way I'm
Okay.
not going to talk about counterspell.
Okay.
We put it
Good.
that way.
I think we covered all the schools, but we
Yeah.
didn't finish
Oh,
the master.
Yes.
time stop. Time stop. Don't forget that one. That is a really good
That's
level
also
9
a
spell. when you
9th
do get
level
it.
spell though, so
Yes. But if you do get to it, because I have seen games where people just immediately play like a level 20 game.
true.
If you do get that, time stop. Take that. It is such a good spell just to help you get like extra time in a fight. If it wasn't obvious by the name time stop.
Yeah.
Or mass polymorph because, why not
Yes.
just turn 10 creatures into what you want?
I think again, like, mass polymorph, unless you are a sorcerer, is the only time you can turn several creatures at once. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, mass polymorph is like one of the few spells where you can actually do that. Unless you're sorcerer, you can only do like the polymorph spell twice.
Yeah.
So yeah, unless you're a 9th level spellcaster where you can, cast 9th level spells, and it's like, yeah, no, can't cast polymorph more than on one person.
Yep.
Yeah, so what we were talking about when we had to go to a break, Nia, you were talking about battle mages?
Spellmaster.
Spellmasters. Spellmaster!
Yeah.
Was I battle master? No.
I was like, wait, fighter? What?
So what about spellmastering?
So spellmaster is actually kind of a nice thing for the wizard, but it essentially lets you cast spells at their lowest level without expelling any spell slots. So you can choose a 1st level wizard spell and a 2nd level wizard spell that are in your spell book, and you can cast those without spelling spell slots.
Yeah.
And if you want to cast either spell at a higher level, you have to just expend a spell slot. So it's kind of nice because it's essentially like at 18th level you get it, and basically it's like saying that you've basically trained so well into magic that now you are able to cast certain spells for free, basically at their level. So there are certain like 1st and 2nd level spells that you can just cast it because I want to. So you could cast Magic Missile for free because you just want to cast Magic Missile forever.
Yeah.
Or
what
you know,
spells
invisibility.
Would you guys recommend for those?
I would honestly recommend Invisibility because it's honestly a very useful one for a wizard to constantly go, I'm in deep shit. Fuck. Invisible. And just freely just get out. if you were in a
That's
bad
very true.
position, you're close in fight with somebody, you can't get out of it. Your team's
Mhm.
somewhere else, you're just in a bad position at all. Invisibility. First level, it's kind of a give or take, because there are a lot of really either good but kind of okay-ish first level spells. It really just depends on your choice of your character, because there might be something that you don't think your character would ever use. Personally, I'd say like Detect Magic's a good one. Featherfall's a good one. Magic Missile's a good one. Chromatic Orb, you could use that.
Why Magic Missile? Ugh.
Because, some people just like Magic Missile. I don't know
You're
why.
the only one
Don't
who
ask
likes
me.
Magic Missile.
I like Magic Missile. Have you ever seen that little comic that talks about, over so long ago? Magic Missile, Magic Missile, Magic Missile. Oh, I'm out of mana. It's just so stupid, but it's just like, yeah, that's why I like Magic Missile.
I think Detect Magic is a really good one because
yeah, I'd say Detect Magic would be just perfect. That is not familiar. If you're fine, if you're familiar, dies.
Find
also
familiar takes an hour still. I don't think that's a good pick.
True. I don't know if it.
You might as well just cast that
technically. Because it says you can cast them at will, but I don't know if honestly you can cast that one at will at that point.
No, you're just able to cast it as a.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
Spending spell slots.
Then I would say, yeah, probably Detect Magic's probably my favorite one for that, just because it's one that you're gonna want to cast constantly, and at that point you don't have to worry about ritual casting it or keeping it at all anywhere. You can just be like, yeah, done.
A good cousin to that is Detect Thoughts. Just be able to read anybody's mind at any time without burning spell slots.
Yep.
You can your character just becomes the most nosy son of a gun in the world.
Yeah. Honestly, another good one possibly could be like Mage Armor, because sometimes, dying doesn't really feel like it's fun, and the fact that it lasts 8 hours. That way you don't even have to cast it at all, and it's just at will.
My personal philosophy with spell mastery is it's tempting to look for certain spells that you're always going to be using, like Shield, but at a really high level, you're going to have so many low-level spell slots that spells that you have to cast like maybe 3 or 4 times a day aren't going to be big priorities. The ones that you're really going to want to look for are things that you can cast constantly. Detect Magic, Detect Thoughts, Unseen Servant Army.
This is true.
Invisibility is another great one, as you said.
Yeah.
Trying to think of any other.
Hold Person could be a good one.
Hold Person? Yeah.
Hold
Person.
Because honestly,
it's especially for the grouchy mage that just wants to go, stop moving, stop talking, just
shut up.
Silence also falls into that category of nope, not dealing with this.
Or just darkness at every point, and just be like, no, I don't. You can't see anymore. I don't care about you.
Just keep in mind when you're looking for what spell you want this to be, it should be a spell that you're probably going to cast over 10 times in a single day.
Yeah.
When you start using it.
It would definitely, it has to be a spell that you would feel like you would use. Suggestion actually would be a really good one. Being able to freely just tell people, hey, do that for me. Hey, you go and do that thing for me. Yeah,
absolutely.
Perfect.
Some really solid options in there.
But yeah, that's honestly Spellmaster at its core. It's literally just being able to do that. And also, the good thing I should point out, you can exchange one or both of these after spending 8 hours in study. So you can literally just be like, I don't want to know invisibility anymore. Spend 8 hours in study and take suggestion. Or I don't want chromatic orb or, detect magic for right now. Change it to something else.
Or another one. Misty Step. Never walk again.
Oh my god. Literally
Teleport
never walk anywhere.
Everywhere.
Just literally just sit there and be like, teleport. Teleport. Teleport.
So the last sort of main category is about spellcasting and spell options. So wizards do learn spells differently from most other classes.
Yeah.
In that they may have the ability to cast something, but they won't have access to do so straight away.
Yeah.
And that's the mechanics of a spell book.
Yep. So,
Yes.
spellcasting is such a different one for different casters, but the wizard in particular gets a spellbook.
Mm.
And the differences with this is that they basically have all their spells in this handy-dandy reference, just book. They carry this thing around all day and they go, yep, this is my lifeblood. If I lose this, I'm dead.
Yeah.
And it allows them to prepare all their spells because they have everything stored in there that they need to know.
Mm.
Pretty much from there, all their spellbook they can add spells every day. They can just be like, okay, hey, I found this other person's spellbook. I found this spell scroll. I can add that directly into my spellbook. And that's what makes them such a great alternative to most of the other casters, because sorcerer gets 4 spells. Wizard
It's not
goes,
that
I have
bad.
6 spells. Okay, yeah, it's not that bad, but it's still that bad. Hey, I have at level 1 6 spells. The wizard could go, I have 6 spells, and then on top of that, I found this spell added in. I found this spell added in. Difference though, also, it gets expensive. Remember to save all of your money for this, because you're not going to have any money. You're going to be poor. There's a reason wizards aren't rich.
Yeah.
They're either
You literally have to
extremely
really
broke
hitting up
or
their
insanely wealthy. Those are the 2
Yeah.
options for wizards.
Yeah.
There's
And
no
the difference
middle
is
class wizards around.
One's either really wealthy and not that great at magic, or one is really poor and really good at magic, because for some reason you spent all your money on magic.
No. The only wealthy wizard is a retired one.
Yeah.
He has
Oh, yeah.
stopped adding to his spell list, and he's gone, okay,
Yes.
I'm done.
Yeah.
But
That's
once
true.
they have gotten to that
they
point
live
where
in
they're
mage
like,
towers, and they're called arc wizards, and
Yeah.
they're the ones with all the money. Everyone else
Yeah.
is poor. They have student debts up to their nose.
Basically,
Wizards really
what I'm
are
saying is,
college students.
yeah, wizards are college students, and they're sitting here with their loan, and it's just the debt payers are just sitting there when are you gonna pay that loan back? And you're like, I'll pay you back
The
eventually.
rogue's over there with a club, just like, listen, I lent you money, but you gotta pay back. I'd hate to have to take your kneecaps.
So,
Look at your friend the warlock over there. I already took his.
given that spells and cantrips are technically different, what's the process for
So-
learning a cantrip versus learning a spell?
You can't actually copy cantrips down.
Yep. Cantrips
you-
are very finite. You can only learn as many
Yeah.
as the class lets you learn.
So it's the one case where the wizard doesn't have everything. Actually, sorcerers are better at them at cantrips.
Sorcerers have a fuck ton of cantrips.
I think
Mhm.
I actually think that's the one true thing for every other caster is that they get more cantrips than the wizard.
Mm.
The wizard has
wizards
5
are
at
great.
most.
They get a lot of cantrips, actually.
The wizard?
Yeah, they get medium
get
amount,
5.
I think. Yeah, compared to a cleric or a druid.
Oh, I mean, I'm just talking
Yeah.
arcane casters in general.
Yeah.
I think cleric and druid, I believe, get around roughly the same, but I know bard get. Oh, wow, bard gets only 4. Wow.
Sorcerers are your
But again, also-
cantrip loaded casters.
Yeah.
So wizards are in the middle in terms of cantrips,
Yeah.
so they're good.
Yeah. Okay. I guess
um,
I just honestly don't play warlock, but then again, that's true because I don't play warlock.
I made you
Yeah.
play
But-
a warlock and you liked it, so shut up.
Look, I love it now. It's just I don't look at them at level 20. But then again, whoever looks at level 20, you're never getting there. It's not happening.
Most people aren't.
There is a
Oh.
trick for the cantrips, though, and
Yeah.
something I should mention about spellbooks and recording things. First off,
Mhm.
when getting new spells, one thing you're going to find is, due to the way 5e works, magic items are much rarer, harder to find.
Yeah.
And low-level spells from level 1 spells, level 2 spells, level 3 spells, they're fairly common.
Mhm.
Like, you can usually find scrolls around the world. If you go to the shop, the DM will let you buy some.
Mm.
But beyond that level, they start to get harder and harder and harder to find, to the point where they're almost non-existent. Like, finding a 7th level spell scroll is something you find in a chest or in Archmage's tower or in their
Yeah.
book. So
Not gonna find it very often.
you'll have you'll have 20 plus low level spells, and then you'll have a couple big ones.
Mm.
And usually,
The
if you
other-
find a spell book, you're gonna find a lot of repeating spells that are just the same.
Yeah.
Oh look, another spell book. It has magic missile. God damn it.
Yep. I never take magic missile because I know I'm going to find a wizard that's going to have magic missile.
Yeah.
And
It-
the one trick you can find is for cantrips, even though you can't record any,
Mhm.
since they're so cheap, you can often find scrolls of cantrips around the world, which are
Yep.
relatively cheap.
Mm.
So I sometimes like to stock up on a couple of scrolls of cantrip scrolls and just have them in
Yeah.
my back pocket for a rainy day.
Mm.
Another option also is to take the magic initiate feat, I believe is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's the one that allows you to take extra. Learn 2 cantrips of your choice from anyone. So you could obviously take 2 more cantrips.
Mm.
You could also use some races. Some races allow you to take extras, like the High Elf allows you to have an extra cantrip of your choice of the wizard spell list. So
Tieflings also
do
give
want
you
more-
a fair bit of
Yeah,
extra
that's
spells
lovely.
for free,
yeah,
which can
So there
be
are,
really
like,
useful.
ways to get more.
Yeah.
The Drow sub class of the Elf also gives you extra spells.
Mm. A lot of the
There's a lot of options to
Genasi
get.
do get a few extra
Yeah.
spells as well.
The Aasimar also gets them as well. So it's like, if you really want a couple extra fun spells to play around with, there are ways to get them if your class doesn't have it, or if, like, you want more cantrips. Because cantrips, again, difference between cantrip and, like, level 1 to, like, level 9 spells.
Mm.
Cantrips are at-will free spells that you can cast every day.
Yeah.
You can cast them as many times as you want. So it's kind of nice to have them when you want them. Because
Mhm.
the more you have, the more options you have.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And it's kind of nice because the wizard probably gets some of the best, like, cantrips, I would say, for, like, versatility.
I just remembered a pro tip.
Mm-hmm.
So something really good for the wizard that helps you with your very the limited number of spells you can prepare a day.
Mm.
Wizards can make scrolls generally,
Yep.
and you can use this to create
Oops.
a. Oh, hello.
Oh,
Hi, Belle. We're live.
hello, Belle.
Hey, I'm
Oh.
so sorry that I'm late, guys.
That's okay. Just a reminder that we are indeed live at the moment, so just so you're aware.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah. Where are we at, guys?
We are towards the last 10 minutes of the show.
Yep.
We are.
We are on spellcasting and spell options with the spellbook, the cantrips that you can get, spells, ritual casting, and all that.
The thing I was
Yep.
I was trying to. Ooh. The thing I was trying to say was because you can create spell scrolls, especially low level spells like first level and cantrips.
Hmm.
You can create, say, a featherful scroll, which you should keep on your person because it's not worth preparing every day. But if you have a scroll that you just keep to your side and just ready for a rainy day, it saves you from having to prepare it every day.
Yeah.
Yep. And
That
You
is
a good
only
thing
need
to
it
note is
once
that
usually, but when you
some
need it, you
spell
need it.
scrolls you could make for others. So you
Yeah.
can make some of your
Yeah.
spells for others to use.
Well, it depends on your DM.
Depends on DM, but, like,
Yeah.
obviously, like, there are some spells that, like, another caster could use. Like, a sorcerer might have a spell, but they
Hmm.
might not be able to cast it. Like, it might not be on their actual spell, like, known right now,
Hmm.
but they could still
Yeah.
cast it. So
Scrolls need to be on your spell list to be able to cast
Yeah.
them.
That
that's what I'm
depends.
saying. Like, as long as it's on your spell list.
Some DMs will allow you to cast any scroll, even if it's not
Yeah,
on your spell
provided
list.
that you're a caster. That's generally
Yeah.
the rule that I've come across, but that's going to depend on,
Yeah.
again, the GM,
Yeah.
is that if you're a caster, you can cast any scroll, but obviously you can only do that once.
Yeah.
The
That's the
one
most
time
common
I've
ruling
had
I've
it, the only, like, time I think it's ruled is, like, if it's not like that, is ruling it as the differences between divine and
Mm.
arcane. So obviously you can't cast a healing scroll because you're not a healer, you're an arcane caster. That was like, okay, that's fine, because you can't use divine magic, but
Yeah.
you can use arcane. So any arcane spells are fine.
I've also
That's fine.
another variant I've come across with scrolls is that it's like linked to your level as a caster.
Yes.
So, for example, you can cast, provided you have access to that level. If it's on your spell list, you can cast up to that level. But if it's from another spell list, you can only cast it at half your caster level. So, like, if you're level 8, you can. Okay, you're a level 8 sorcerer. You can cast a scroll that is on the wizard spell list, provided it's level 4 or below. That's another
I
rule
like
I've come
that rule.
across. That you can still do it, it's just that the more advanced it gets, the harder it's going to be.
I've played in a game where they've said that if you try and attempt to cast a spell at a higher level, it ends up a wild magic roll on a table. And on a particular number, your spell casts as number as it's supposed to, but every other number, something really random and terrible is going to happen.
Yeah. I've had somebody also do it where they rolled it as like a spell save DC, essentially, like kind of like that type of thing, where you have to roll like, if the spell's a 5th level and you can only cast 4th level, it's 10 plus the spell level, and then you have to put your spell like, modifier against it and roll to see if you can actually know to cast how that spell is. So it's like, that's fine, because you have to know if you can cast it.
There's also a mistake in the Dungeon Master's Guide about spell scrolls that you should know about, which is the Dungeon Master's Guide says that it takes an action to use a spell scroll. It does not. It takes the same time that it would to normally cast it.
Okay.
If it's a reaction spell, it's a reaction. If it takes 10 minutes to cast, it takes 10 minutes to cast that with a scroll.
Yeah.
So that's
the spells actually take the
that's a
same
mistake
amount
the
of
DMG made. The creators of 5e have publicly said, no, that's wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know as well, because
it's a good thing to know, because I've actually had to like look that up and like send it to a DM at one point, because it's like, no, I can cast this as a reaction. It's a reaction spell.
Yeah. Because it makes no sense to have like Hellish Rebuke is a classic reaction spell where it's triggered only if you take damage.
Yeah.
And it makes no sense to have that as an action on your turn.
Yeah.
Because it literally couldn't
Because you
happen.
can't. Yeah, you couldn't use the spell.
Yeah.
Though keep in mind, you may want to keep those reaction spells scrolls somewhere that's realistically possible for you to whip it out on a second.
Yeah.
Like some bandolier that you got like ready for like, shield.
Yeah. Like usually when I have reaction scrolls, I would usually say they're like within like reach on my belt. My character has them like readily pull out and just go, boom, it's done. Because you don't want to go, oh, sorry person, hold on 1 second, you're attacking me. Let me look at my bag. No, not that one. Oh, that's the wrong one. Oh, that's fireball. Nope. Yeah, no. Sorry, that's not gonna work.
Yeah.
And then I think we were talking about like preparing and casting spells and the difference between those. I can't remember honestly, because we've got a tangent about cantrips at one point, and then I forgot where we were at.
I think we've gotten to the last point on the list, because we need to wrap up in about 5 minutes or so, 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And that is about the role-playing aspects of wizards. Because we started out being like, wizards are often, you're typically studious people. If you want to play a real-life nerd, but in a D&D setting, a wizard is your go-to class, like now also accompanied by the artificer. And, what sort of role-playing tips do you guys have for someone who's looking to play a wizard but wants to do something unusual or non-stereotypical with it?
Yeah. Hey, Belle, why don't you go? Because you just got here.
Yeah.
Again, my apologies for getting here so late. But if you were to play a non-stereotypical wizard, I would say probably add something in there like a high strength or a high dex. Because it gives you that really off-putting other end. So wizards are supposed to be squishy, they're supposed to be difficult to buff up, and if you give them those extra buffs, you have to explain in character how they got them. why are they so strong? What possessed this wizard who's all about intellectuality to buff themselves up?
I just like going to the gym, man.
Yeah.
Why?
I just took some really hard shit, and I am feeling really good, guys. Okay.
Wizard drugs, wizard steroids.
Oh man.
I thought it'd make me better at magic. Oh no,
No,
it
I
made
was
me
wrong.
That scuba dealer really sold me the wrong crap.
I drank the wrong potion.
Accidental potion of giant strength.
Oh my god.
Yep.
Other flavors is just, for instance, me and Typo, what we do. Reflavor all your spells. Make them unique to your character, make them unique in some way to like the character you play. I play Asteria on one of my games I used to play, and she's a very astrological, star-based character, and all of her spells were starry themed. So everything she did had some theme of stars and divining the stars. So play it that way. Make your spells themed towards how you use them.
Yep. I played Explosia and I renamed Prestidigitation to Fluff, Puff, and other stuff. It was fun.
It was a lot of fun.
I like wizards for multiclassing, which is, you know, evident given that literally both wizards I've created have been like multiclasses from the start. And I like that because I like the idea of someone like choosing to learn magic at a later stage in life. Like they did something else first, and then they were like, whoa, hang on, there's this whole world of magic that you can learn if you study it. I want to pick up a bit of that. Instead of going like, oh, I just went to school for it. And
you can get some very interesting wizard concepts with multiclass.
So my the one wizard that I've had a chance to play at this point, she is effectively almost like a special agent, in that because she was initially a rogue and then wanted to break away from the criminal life and went to study magic instead. She's great at infiltration missions when it's, you know, the criminal underbelly. She's the person you want to send to investigate something. And that all of her skills are sort of tailored towards someone whose main focus is like information gathering, investigation, persuading people that you're meant to be there, but who then also has backup magical abilities that are even stronger than her other skills. But again, using what she was before to work with her new like role as a wizard.
A multi-class actually I did at one point. I played a warlock, and eventually multi-classed into a wizard. And the whole idea behind her backstory was that she was actually the daughter to my originally very first wizard, and don't even know all the specifics, but essentially her dad was a warlock. So she took after a lot of the warlock abilities that he had, and eventually decided that she wanted to break away from that and sever the pack eventually, but she wasn't going to be able to do that for quite a while. So she took a dive into the magic that her mother used to kind of break away for a little bit, to learn a new type of magic, to study something that would essentially help her learn more about the intricacies of magic, that would have let her learn about warlock magic more, to then sever her pack and then become a full wizard or become whatever she wanted, which later on became a witch because she learned witchcraft. But it was like this idea of being like, I want to sever this pact that I've made with this creature. I don't want it, and I want to learn about it. So wizardry basically taught her all the knowledge she'd need to know to then later on sever that pact.
And that's actually a very good type of lead into the different ways you can be different kinds of even just normal wizards. Like you can be a witch, for example. You can be a necromancer. You can be a like student who's gone to some magical university who like you have the full Harry Potter kind of background.
You went to Hogwarts.
Exactly. And I personally like that one because that one's actually surprisingly rare. Because you
sorry,
rarely
I
ever
went to
hear
Hogwarts.
wizards talking about like their college days, essentially.
Yeah.
Which I think is just I think it's a missed opportunity because they're the only ones that really get to go. Yeah, I remember when we went out on this bender. Oh, it was crazy.
I'm sorry.
That
I went to
magic that
Hogwarts.
happened that night. Yep.
I went to Hogwarts. Goodbye.
and the wizard football team, American football. I'm sorry, the wizard American football team. It was crazy. People turning themselves into giants and tackling each other. It sucked when somebody lost concentration, though. Poor Benji.
Literally though, like, I think it's a lot of fun, and you can even, like, one of the ones I like playing is the hench mage. Like, you can be a hench wizard and be like, yeah, I just taught myself everything I know. Like, I found some old books and I taught myself.
I've mentioned, I told, Typer, you had this yesterday, that something happened to my main character. Oh, Belle, I haven't told you what happened to Vitra.
What happened to Vitra? Poor Vitra?
She died, and...
What?
She died and was offered somehow a resurrection spell via a drow queen, and now owes a massive favor to a certain spidery goddess.
Oh no!
I know! This is not going to come back to haunt me at all.
But Vitra would totally have gone for it.
She would, because the drow have done more to help her now than a lot of other people she's ever met.
That's absolutely true.
It's true. Like, that's why she did it. She's like, yeah, I suppose you guys are okay. Most evil creatures in this universe. But my point is that she's now at a point in her life where she's just been brought back from the dead. Their cleric / wizard died at the same time as she did. And rejected the offer to be resurrected. So on one hand, she could easily go into warlock because, again, like, linked to...
Yep, she could make the pact.
She could probably this could be made into a pact. She could go down the path of a cleric of some variety, but very weird relationship. And she could also pick up the book, like their wizard spell book, and dabble into wizard. So that's one of those points where it would make sense for a character to try to pick something up that belonged to a previous ally, and therefore multi-class into wizardry. So that's a sort of, if I hadn't already just built 2 multi-class people with wizard as one of their classes, that's probably what I would go like, yep, that's what I'm doing. Now I'm less certain, but I think that's a great example of when something happens to a character and they could very easily go down a different route and like carry on someone else's legacy, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we've gone over all of the mechanics of the wizard, the different schools of magic and our favorite spells. The last thing briefly before I have to go, who is your favorite wizard for all of you? And could you please describe them a bit? Ideally a character you've played, but it can also be a wizard from like NPC or not even Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh no, why did you do this to me?
Because I can.
No. There's so many.
I had a class that's similar to wizard, similar enough that I'll call him wizard. He's got all the feeling of it. Super smart, actually surprisingly charismatic, and he is probably when I first played a wizard, I was like, okay, this intellect class isn't that, like, intellect build isn't that great. I mean, I didn't feel like I was getting the mileage out of it. And then I played this character who had some degree of power and influence because he was a noble. He also had a ridiculous, he had a library, so he could justify knowing things from pretty much anywhere in the world. And since he was a noble, he had a reason to know global politics and like, this is the customs of this place because maybe we have to know about that. And when I was rolling history checks, then it's just like, it's almost like, I almost just had to ask the DM, hey, what's this? And like, he's like, give me a history check. Let's see if I don't roll a 1. Arcana checks were also really easy for me, and I think he wasn't great at religion, but he was okay at it still because it's just high intellect.
Yeah.
I'm dying over here. There's too many.
Alright, Belle, do you have a favorite wizard?
I absolutely do.
I had a feeling you might. Could you tell me about them, please?
My favorite wizard that I have ever had the chance to play, hands down, has to be Hecate.
What a shocker!
What a shocker! She is my favorite. I think she is one of my favorite characters of all time to play, to be honest. She has an incredibly high intelligence in her score, but she also has like an 18 in charisma. So what she doesn't know, she will seduce out of you so that she does know it.
Yeah. See, I think that's the power combo.
Yeah, it is. It is her favorite thing to do, to go hopping from person to person, powerful person to powerful person, and stealing their stuff. She will come in, steal their spellbook, and leave. And they can't even be mad, because she'll tell them that she did it in the first place. Like, she'll come in, she'll flirt with them, and she'll be like, you better watch out, I might steal your spellbook if you're that good. And they'll be like, oh yeah. And then she'll steal their spellbook and leave. Like, she's not kidding. She's gonna take your stuff.
Dear Lord.
She loves to kick butt. So her backstory happened where everyone in her family were bards. She was the only wizard. She tried to be a bard, but when she sat the bardic entrance exam, she failed and she almost raised the dead, attempting to dance. She was really mad about that, and she was like, that's it, I'm going out on my own way. And then she was like, you know, I have a knack for this necromancy thing. I'm gonna stick to that.
Jeez.
Good.
So that's my my non-stereotypical wizard right there.
Alright, Nia, who is your favorite wizard?
God, it's such a hard choice, but honestly, I've played like 6 different wizards at this point. I love them all. Like, my first one was very cliche. I can't say she's my favorite just because she's the one that's kept like the bloodline between all my characters, because I ended up creating her, and then from her, all the descendants came after her. But in the end, I would say, honestly, I've played Ravenna, Faye, Kana, Azur, Sophie, and Asteria.
I love how one of them is just like Sophie compared to like all of the fantasy names. Sophie.
Sophie was actually literally a town girl who just kind of happened to like get magic through kind of the fact that she already had like some special abilities herself. But I would say personally my favorite one I've played that's not really stereotypical would probably be Asteria. Like, she was literally a town girl from a port city where literally people look down on magic. She had no like special abilities. She's bad at strength. She can't dodge to save her life. She's a weak-willed person. She's not really that, you know, charismatic. She doesn't have much going for her other than the fact that she's really good with books. She was literally a book nerd. She loved books. She loved nature. She loved that. And that was the one thing she had compared to everyone else in her friend group. Her friends were charismatic.
She had one thing. She had a really good friend who had a lot of...
a lovely friend. She had really good friends. But I would say, like, that's the thing with her, was that she knew that she wasn't good compared to her friends in other ways. Her friends had, charisma to talk to people. They were really good at, dex. They were really strong and courageous. She was the girl who sat in a library and liked reading and liked staying inside with her cat and just being there. But at the end of the day, when push came to shove, she was the one who learned magic to protect others. She did all of the things that she did to protect the people that she cared about. She fought, she lost people, and that was the thing, was she's a 15-year-old girl who just protected her friends. She wanted them to have adventures and go on, like, these big, massive, like, journeys together. And I liked that. It was, like, such a fun, sweethearted, like, optimistic girl that was just, at the end of the day, doing the best she could. And I liked that. Because honestly, at the end of the day, that's not what most wizards are. Most wizards have, like, this superiority to other people. And I liked that she was very down to earth. She liked just being the same with her friends. Her friends were equals to her.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'd say that's my favorite wizard I've played.
Cool.
Yeah. If you want to go out of, if you want to be unusual for a wizard, don't be an arrogant smarty pants.
Yeah, just don't be superior to your friends.
Be humble.
Like,
Yes,
be humble,
a lot of
be
wizards are arrogant because they're so intelligent.
Yeah.
Which is
Arrogance ain't
ironic.
gonna save you when you are on the floor and your teammates are like, wow, do I really want to help you? No, they don't. So,
Unless
make
they're
friends
all
with
your
everyone.
ex-boyfriends.
Oh
Sorry.
god, no.
What was that, Bill?
They're all your
Unless
ex-
they're all your ex-boyfriends.
God. I love you, Belle. Don't change.
So Belle and I have actually woven together Vitra's and Hecate's like backstories slightly.
We have indeed.
I think our headcanon ended up being that you end up marrying a distant cousin of mine, or being engaged to.
Yes. Yep. I'm engaged to be married to your distant cousin.
Yeah. And
Yep.
we also have an ex in common, apparently, which is really awkward. Funnily enough, like, this is what happens when you put two characters from different campaigns in the same one-shot and figure out, like, how they know each other.
She's been around. She's been around.
Hello, daily dose of Furret.
Oh, ferrets.
Oh, so cute.
He's running around and being tired.
Okay.
Aww. Yes, I have to go. So I've got an appointment in 15 minutes that I need to be there for.
Yeah.
Yeah. But everyone, the classic shout-outs. Who are you? What do you do? And where can people find you? Let's start with Typo and go that way.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Typo. You can find me here sometimes. Bye.
Jeez. Why do I let you do these? They get worse and worse.
I
It's like
make you laugh, so
I
don't
mean,
know.
we're helping you. You gotta go in 15 minutes. Hey everyone, I'm Near. You can find me on Polish's channels. I'm here Fridays, and I'll be here for a couple one-shots and a couple other campaigns. Love you guys. Bye.
Hi, I'm Bill. You can find me also on Polish channel because this is the only channel I live on.
Oh, she won't let us out of the cage.
Help.
She's
love
kidnapped
how-
all of us.
every time I give you guys a chance to shout out anything, it's like, no, I live here.
I live here. Come back and see me anytime.
Send food. She isn't feeding us.
Yeah. Join us on the Coffee Nebula. You'll never leave. Even.
That's a lie. I have pizza. I'm not sharing it though.
You gave me your pizza. Why don't you give me pizza? I love pizza.
Right, everyone. So, I am the I am the keeper of these people. I have locked them into my channel. So, if you want to see more of them, or me for that matter, best way to do that is to chuck a follow, and you'll be notified when myself or, company and I are live and what we're doing. at the moment, we are still raising funds for WWF Australia because we are on fire, and that kind of sucks. So yeah, if you can help out with that, that would be amazing. But yeah, I'm going to be at ArcanaCon in Melbourne this weekend. Let me know if you want to say hi, because I'll be around the exhibition centre. But yeah, that's everything for now. It's been great, but now we're